Hey.
Welcome to the Craft Parenting Podcast live on YouTube.
Oh, snap.
Thank you all for being here, even if you aren't necessarily live. But if you are live, let us know in the chat, and we have the chat open right here. Say hi.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
My name is Drew Ledwig, by the way, and this is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline.
I was not expecting that. Hi.
Yeah, this is the Craft Parenting Podcast, the podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. And we have a very interesting show.
We do. And I don't know how old these beers are at this point. This one's from January, so that's not too bad. It's not the oldest beer that we've had on the podcast this year.
Yeah, well,
but
there we go.
When I went to Delhi Liquor with Julia to record our West Side, what was that? West Side, Best Side kind of episode? I don't even remember anymore.
Bottle Shops.
Oh, that was Bottle Shops. Yeah. So when we went to record that, I checked out their singles and found some, what I am calling not your Funkle's gas station singles, because these are not necessarily ones that you will find in a brown paper bag in the car next to you on the road.
Okay.
At least hopefully not. I don't know.
Hopefully you don't find anything in a brown paper bag.
Don't drink and drive. Just don't do it. So the first beer we're going to open is a Kona Big Wave Golden Ale. And this is our biggie boy because this one is 25 ounces. So we will not be drinking all of this live because we have children and we're just going to save it so we can finish up later.
Yeah.
Because I also have 3 more cans for us to get into.
Yeah, so this is, I'll do this. How about that? Transition. So this is just a golden ale, you said?
Yes, this is Big Kona Brewing, which is in Hawaii.
Okay.
And it is their Pacific Golden Ale. And that was the original name of it when they started brewing it in 1994. But now they have rebranded to Kona Big Wave as part of Kona Brewing. And they offer this in singles, 6-packs, 12-packs, all sorts of stuff. But their singles can is 25 ounces. It has 21 IBU, which are made up and don't matter, is 4.4% alcohol by volume. And the malts it contains are Pale 2-Row Premium and Caramel 20. And the hops are Galaxy and Citra. Per their website, food pairings, their Big Wave's lighter body and bright hop aroma and taste make it a natural choice to enjoy with seafood, poultry, salads, and light pasta dishes.
I would say that it's definitely an ale. It has that bitterness that ales typically do. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not as clean as like a lager. It's not supposed to be a lager, obviously. Yeah. But so it's definitely refreshing.
It's perfect for today because it is so hot outside.
It's very warm. I think I melted.
I almost melted.
Elliot did melt.
He did.
But he didn't want to admit that he was melting.
He really did not.
So we went to a picnic.
We went to a very exclusive festival, is the way that I worded it with Steven. Because he was like, what festival are you at? Because they were at a county fair yesterday. Okay. And I was like, the most exclusive festival ever because you can't get in.
We were at an exclusive festival.
Yep. So there were food trucks. There was a bunch of activities for the kids. The kids rode around on a little train that was basically a fancy golf cart. And then they had an inflatable obstacle course and an inflatable slide. The kids did the obstacle course. I had to help Elliot through it, but he had a blast. I didn't break anything to my knowledge. So that was a plus.
Yeah.
And then we put Elliot and Lily on their slide, and Elliot just went around and around and around.
Around and around and around.
And then he started getting more confident. So he would like jump up and fall down the slide. He tumbled down the slide. He went down face first. He didn't have the patience to walk the extra 3 steps to go through the little opening to get to the ladder. He just kind of hopped over the barrier to get to the ladder.
He figured that out very quickly.
Yeah, the workers thought he was hilarious.
And then we said, Elliot, one more time.
And he did not get down from the slide.
He was having so much fun that he just sat up there with his thumb in his mouth.
He's like, this is the best. And so there was a little boy. I have no idea who these children are, but it's fine. There was a little boy who was slightly older. He was probably like 9-ish. And I was like, hey.
More than slightly.
Yeah, more than slightly older. He was like 9-ish. I was like, hey, can you just kind of shove my son down the slide? Like, it's fine. He's gone down the slide like 30 times at this point. But he's refusing to come down now that he knows we're going to pull him out of here. And he didn't feel comfortable doing that, I guess, because he was trying to reason with Elliot, which does not work.
Elliot was sitting up there. And it's enclosed, obviously, because you don't want the children to fall out.
Yeah.
And it's a very hot day, as we discussed.
So we tried to convince another child to just yank him down the slide. They didn't really want to do that either. These kids are so nice. Like 10 years ago, there would have been like 5 kids pushing him down the slide, I swear. They would have been like, oh, it's Christmas, with the thought of being able to do that. So as soon as I started going up the ladder, he then went down the slide. So Joe had to grab him, and he was drenched in sweat.
Because he was in a very warm area of that slide. It's fine if you're just there for, a second or so.
Yeah, but he was there for a while. But he had a blast.
He had a lot of fun. There was ice cream. There was...
There's ice cream. There was mac and cheese. There were hot dogs. It was like all the kids' favorite foods.
All the food groups. All the toddler food groups in one place.
The kids had snow cones, but they did not understand them. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was like, bud, it's ice. Your favorite.
You didn't give them... They didn't have, like, those straws that you're supposed to, like...
Yeah, it was just kind of dig in, which he didn't totally get.
Yeah. Which, it was very cold, right? So I can kind of understand that.
Well, yeah, it was very much a temperature shift from what they had been living in.
Just like eating it all at once with your face.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I guess, you're supposed to eat it like a popsicle.
Yes.
But he didn't really understand that.
He did not. So this is a very tasty beer, and it is the first of our gas station singles.
Yes. Very big boy.
Yes. And so gas station singles have kind of always been a thing.
Yeah.
And they've always been a little controversial. Because...
Do tell.
Gas station singles are meant to be consumed quickly, usually. Now, we're really bad at that with like all of our beer. So we don't count. But we're also not usually the audience for gas station singles. We're normally going in for a 6-pack because there's 2 of us.
Oh, yeah.
Usually a 6-pack is fine because one of us will enjoy the beer and we'll drink the other 4. But gas station singles can be seen as hey, we don't want a gas station that's too close to the highway to have these. Or, hey, why does a gas station even have these? But now we've got gas stations with bars in them, like with tap handles and stuff.
That is a thing, yeah. I've noticed that trend. I don't know if that's a Cincinnati thing or an Ohio thing necessarily.
I'm not sure either.
But, yeah, so when they build new gas stations now, and we've seen a couple being built recently, they have a space inside for a bar.
Yes, and usually they're like they've always, to my remembrance from when I was a small child, they have always advertised like ice cold beer here. So you can like get your cold beer to take
beer
home.
Cave. You go in the
Yeah, they always have beer cave. But now we're seeing a lot more of like the White Oak Marathon or what used to be Jeff's Marathon, where it is we have a very good craft beer selection that is almost on par with.
I know White Oak. You can fill growlers, right?
Yeah, so it's almost on brand, like on the same level of a. Oh my goodness!
Bottle shop.
A bottle shop, yeah. That
I think that's
my brain fried today.
That's what they were, I think, trying to do.
Mm-hmm. And like you're gonna go to a gas station at some point anyway if you drive. So now it's, well, while I'm at the gas station, I can pop in for 5 minutes, grab myself some beer, and then head home instead of having to have another stop on my way.
Yeah. And it's a lot more complicated now.
Mm-hmm.
Like the beer selection.
Yes.
At gas stations.
Yeah, and a lot of my research was yielding articles that were a few years old. I didn't find anything from 2023. I believe one of them was from 2022, but like the other one was like 2019 and 2020, where they were talking about the emergence of more variety with gas station singles because craft beer was starting to get into them.
Yeah. I don't know that any local, well, Rheingeist, I guess that would be the one.
Yeah, I was going to say Rheingeist.
Rheingeist, I think, is the only one who does, something.
The 19.2. Does Madtree have? I thought Madtree had a 19.2 can now.
Oh, do they?
They have a 19. I swear. Julia and Marco were talking about it. Because when they were at Madtree for 4th of July, she got their last 6-pack of their 19.2 ounce cans.
Yeah.
Because her Josh loves them because it's a little more than a beer. So it's fewer trips to the fridge.
Okay.
And then Marco was saying that he liked them because you could fill your pint glass and then have a little bit left in the can, so it felt like you had a lot. As I explained their podcast to them on our podcast.
That's fine.
It's the circle of podcasting. And that's all that I can sing before the D word comes and cuts us out.
But, okay, so Rheingeist and Madtree are the only ones that I'm aware of that deliberately do gas station size singles.
And part of that locally is because there is a high cost to get into 19.2 ounce cans. There aren't a ton of, well, at least a few years ago. Yes. So this is a 19.2 ounce can.
Okay.
There aren't as many can makers that make a 19.2 ounce. And then when you make them, when you order them, they want you to print off a ton of them. So having a single brand, like having a single label to do that with, can be hard for smaller brewers, or even just having the space to keep all of those cans. Because one of the issues with canning is, where am I going to store all of these cans? Because I have to buy them by pallets and pallets at a time.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're storing air, essentially. I mean, it's fancy air because it's an aluminum can, but the bulk of what you're storing is air.
Yeah.
Ooh, here's what you do. You crush the cans, and then they take up less space while you're storing them.
If you can find a way to do like a reusable can like that.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
So we just cracked open a Great Lakes Vivacious Double IPA. It is 9% ABV, and it is 40 IBU.
Yeah.
Which IBUs are made up and don't matter.
So you say.
The description is, good vibes and delicious intertwine in every sip of this bold, smooth drinking double IPA. Mm-hmm. So Great Lakes, that is up in the Cleveland area.
It is.
So they're not local to us, but they are at least Ohio local.
Yeah. But where I was going with that thought that I had, not many local people do Tall Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the 19.3 ounce or whatever. 19.2. Sorry, I stand corrected. But what the local Krogers have started to do, a while back actually. They have a single. They used to have space dedicated to singles.
Yeah, they do their mixed 6-pack, which they still do.
And you can take, you know, and create your own 6-pack, and there's like a price for that.
Yeah, and I know people that do that a lot. I've maybe done it once or twice, and usually it's for like, hey, I want to curate a gift to give to someone specific, or to like bring to a white elephant gift thing where here's a variety of things versus just here I'm giving you a bunch of the same thing. But it's been years since I've done that. And this tastes like it has twice the hops, twice the bitterness of that Big Wave.
I don't.
It doesn't. It's not super bitter. This is a really good double IPA.
It's very smooth.
And that's 9%. Oh man.
It doesn't taste like 9%.
It really does not.
It reminds me a lot of the Tippa that we had on Chef Beers.
Yes.
Like it was very smooth. It was kind of like, I don't know, like sticky.
Yeah. I mean, that one was a little more citrusy than this one is.
Citrusy. This is not as much of that, obviously, because it's a double and that's a triple, but it's in that same realm where I wouldn't even call this an IPA necessarily.
Yeah.
Like if this was like a blind taste test, it's definitely bitter. You can definitely taste the hops. I obviously wouldn't call it a stout or anything like that. I would call it like a pale ale. Like if it was like a blind test or something.
Yeah, you might.
A double IPA, this is not what I'm thinking.
I mean, I'd probably say IPA because it's pretty hoppy. Like I'm getting IPA hops when I smell it. But yeah, I don't know if I go double IPA.
It's really good. Mm-hmm. I'm not a high IPA person.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying this. Mm-hmm. This one. Like I was kind of iffy when you brought these out. I'm like, double IPA. I don't know.
I tried to find things that were interesting, and not like Colt 45. Now we can do.
Appreciate that. No, we are not Shift Beers.
We can play untapped golf with gas station singles. It's been done before, but we can do it again.
Oh yeah.
So we talked about how cans are part of a barrier into getting to 19.2 ounce and into that gas station single space. But initially the barrier was big beer and the fact that gas stations were such a conglomerate that essentially what they would do is they would say, hey, this region, here are all of the beers that you have at your gas station. And so your Bud Miller Coors would be the bulk of what those beers were. It was harder to get in unless if you were part of one of those large distributors, especially as craft beer. But that's been changing for a while.
Yeah.
Where now it's more regional or even more just gas station to gas station.
Yeah. I mean, we have the bottle shops, which I would argue is, I guess, a step above. Definitely a step above, like a marathon.
It's a
White Oak Marathon, or
yeah, we can call it like a bougie version of it.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the people in the craft beer community, they do go, what is going on?
I do not.
A lot of people, there's buzzing going on. I don't know if people can't hear it, probably, but a lot of people that I know in the craft beer groups, they get their singles from bottle shops.
Yeah, usually because if you're trying to get a fancier thing, like if you want a bottle of the Brink barley wine, you're more likely to find a bottle of the Brink barley wine at a bottle shop than you are at a gas station.
Yeah, I think the barley wine and barrel aged, that's like a different brand.
It is. It's a different.
I wouldn't
monster.
call that. I wouldn't call that like a gas station single. Mm-hmm. Like the cans, double IPAs, or what you have, what you brought. That's definitely different than like, barrel aged and stuff like that. Yeah, so you can get these at the gas stations, like the really elevated gas. Not all gas stations, obviously,
No.
but there's the Jaffs, at the 5-Way here on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
There's the White Oak Marathon, and then there's of course the bottle shops.
Yes.
I don't know that Rheingeist or Mantry. Do you think they carry them at their? They probably do.
They probably do. I'm trying to remember.
Do they sell them as 6-packs? Like, how does that work?
I think
4
that
packs?
they had. I'm gonna say that they had the Rheingeist 19.2
Yeah.
in
Do you buy them
while I was there
as singles?
as a single, but I didn't buy it because I didn't think you would.
You probably put the pack top on them, like probably like a 4-pack or something.
I mean, they might not have, because why would I have not bought that? And I would have bought this double IPA. They might not have had it at the time, but it could have been that they were sold out, because that was a few months ago at this point.
Yeah.
It's been a hot second.
But Great Lakes, really the only Great Lakes beer that I've had have been the Christmas, the Oktoberfest, and my favorite, is it the...
Edmund Fitzgerald?
It's the...
Or Elliot Ness.
It's the Elliot Ness, the lager. It's like a 6% lager.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I think we've had an IPA from them, like, ever. Unless if we did a beer dinner with them, which I'm not sure we did.
No, I don't think we did a beer dinner with them. Edmund Fitzgerald, that's a stout, I think.
That sounds right.
Oh, the oatmeal. I've had the oatmeal stout.
Yeah, but we haven't had an IPA from them. So that was probably one of the reasons why I grabbed this. I mean, the can looked cool. Because, I mean, if you look at this can, it's like... it's vivacious, one might say.
Yeah. Great Lakes, they have a very long history.
Mm-hmm. They do.
I don't know it offhand, but it goes back to, I think, did they open in the 80s or like the late 80s?
I'm not sure. I mean, I can look it up real fast. I had only pulled up Kona.
So I'm just gonna, let's see. They opened up in 88, the year before I was born.
Oh, man. They're older than you. That's cool. It's their new... This is a new beer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that when I bought it. Am I 21 or older? Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. And they show, like, on their website for this, here's our 12-ounce can and here's our 19.2 can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the hops in this are Apollo, Cashmere, and Citra. And the malts are 2-row base malt, wheat, and oats.
All right, cool.
So, yeah, it's at least when I clicked on it, it said it was new. It's a year-round double IPA. So.
Well, it's a good one. So if you do see it and it's in a single or, it's 12 ounce.
And you're not like super into IPAs. So here's the thing that kind of throws me for a loop as a small tangent. Double IPAs and triple IPAs are sometimes so much smoother than a regular IPA that I think if you're not super into IPAs, give 1 or 3 of those a try and then try an IPA and see if you've changed your mind about any of it.
Yeah.
Because, to me, one of the reasons why I stay away from IPAs is because they can hang out on your tongue and make it hard to taste anything else. So if you go to a different beer afterwards or you're trying to eat some tasty food, unless it super pairs with that beer, your palate's a little bit wrecked.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
Yeah.
You do what you want. eat your salmon with your Cabernet.
No. Don't do that.
You can do it. I don't recommend it.
Don't do that. That's what the people at Napa told us.
Yeah, they're like,
you do you.
You do you. I'm like, no. It's not how this works.
That sounds awful. But on that note, yeah, I do tend to enjoy the dippas and the tippas more than the regular IPAs because I don't know if they go through more filtering. Is that a thing?
I think it's just how the flavor profile changes.
Okay. So what makes it a double? Like what in the brewing process makes it a double? I don't
remember.
I feel
like we did something about this at some point, but it's been so long and my brain's so full of stuff.
Yeah, I would be curious. I don't know if it's like double filtered or...
no, it's definitely something to do with the ingredients.
It's just double.
The first thing from Upstream Brewing Company is the average IPA stays at or below 7 ABV, but a double IPA will have an ABV range of 7 to 10%.
So it just has more sugar.
It has, from Beer Advocate, a double IPA should be hop-centric and assertive, both in aroma and flavor, and have a higher alcohol content than a standard IPA. So it's like imperial. It's almost imperial is the way that they're describing it.
So it has more ingredients, but it doesn't taste like it has more ingredients.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they... I don't know. I don't know why that is. Why is an IPA, super bitter, like a Truth or a Psychopathy? Like, why is it like just hops all over, and then you go to a double or a tippa,
and it's a little bit smoother? I don't know if it's because there's more malts in it, but it's still the ratio's the same-ish.
It should be.
Yeah.
You would think. But I guess it depends on the recipe.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that is an interesting point. The West Side Tippa,
the West Side Tippa is so smooth and so juicy.
It's really good.
Yeah, like if you don't like IPAs, give it a try and you might be surprised. Do you want a new glass? Because our next things are not technically beer.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So put yours over there.
Yeah, we're going to transition to something new.
And now for something completely different, but still the same. So.
Do you think people will understand that reference?
I mean, I understand that reference, but sometimes I say things and people are like, what? Well, so here's the issue that we're starting to get into. Technology has advanced so much that stuff that made sense when we were kids doesn't make sense at all anymore. And like, this was years ago too. So this would have had to be at least 6 or 7 years ago for a tangent. I was volunteering at Girl Scout camp, and I was talking to the teenage volunteers, and they were talking about something, and I was like, oh, what's the 411? What's the dish? And they're like, what? And I'm like, what's the gossip? Oh, the tea? Oh, okay. Yeah, here we can get into that. And they're like, the 411? What? Like, that makes zero sense. And I'm like, oh, because back in ye olden times, are you doing the whole can? Almost. Back in ye olden times, when you had a phone on the wall all the time, if you had a question about something and Google was a thing, but wasn't as much of a thing, you could dial 411 for information. Just like you could dial 911. I mean, you can still dial 911 for emergency services, but they had like all of these other phone numbers that people didn't know existed.
Yeah, so there's 911, there's O for operator.
Yep, because there would actually be somebody there.
You remember this commercial? Oh, it's magic.
I know the song. I do not remember that commercial. Oh man, this is a totally different drink.
Oh man, yeah, you're right.
My teeth hurt.
It's kind of a little sour.
It's a little sour and it's really, really sweet.
I don't know if it's sour or tart.
It's tart.
Okay.
Okay, so what was that a commercial for? Just like
I thought it was an AT&T thing.
okay, you Google that. So we are currently drinking a Cider Boys Strawberry Magic, an apple strawberry hard cider, in a 19.2 ounce can, and it is 5% ABV. And I cannot read their codes, so I do not know when this was canned. Oh, I didn't see how old this double IPA was.
I thought it was just.
Oh, this is a freshie boy when I bought it. It's 6/11/23.
There we go. So it was an old AT&T commercial. You just dialed 00 on your phone, and it I guess it replaced 411.
Oh man, that's.
It says that the YouTube. We're on YouTube.
Yeah.
It said it aired in 1999.
Oh man.
I don't think we can play it.
I don't think we can either.
It's not set up like that. But I was right. It was an AT&T commercial.
Wow. Some of that old marketing like sticks. Like I still get commercials stuck in my head from like 15 or 20 years ago.
I don't know why they had that service.
Well,
or why they were advertising it, and or why I was watching advertisements for it.
I don't know. I mean, well, so that was back in the days when you couldn't like pause commercials or like fast forward through commercials. It was if you want to watch this program and you want to watch all of it.
But did they have?
You better sit there.
Did they have landline services in Cincinnati in 1999?
I don't know. I mean, that's when cell phones were starting to be a thing.
Maybe.
As far as like more popularized.
Maybe.
And easily accessible.
I mean, I guess that would make sense that it would be for your cell phone, which is 00 for information. We have AT&T. We can probably try it. It probably doesn't work.
It probably doesn't work.
False advertising.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was a lot of stuff from back in the day that probably doesn't work anymore.
Well,
but
every time you hear that song,
you try to do something like that, like because there's the Skyline jingle where they took the My Girl song.
Yeah.
So it's anytime you hear that song, you're like, oh, Skyline.
I was talking about the Matilda pancake song.
I'm like the only person that applies to for some reason.
What?
Anytime I see a pancake commercial and they are not utilizing the song that's playing in Matilda when she's making pancakes, they are making a terrible decision because I super associate that song with pancakes. It's terrible. But this is imprinted on my young mind.
Yeah.
Because that's all we did was we watched Matilda like all the time.
Wow.
Go over to I don't know. It was one of like 6 VHS tapes that my friend owned, I guess. And we would just always watch that one.
I mean, it's a good movie, but
it is.
I
don't know.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen it. Like,
go back in time and ask small child Caroline.
Okay. If I can go back in time, I will.
Creep out your future wife?
No, I'll probably do more things than just stalk you.
I would hope so.
Like I would do more meaningful things than go and watch you watch Matilda, because that's weird.
A little bit.
I would go like do more. I don't know. I would go and see historical figures and stuff. Ask them.
That would probably be more useful.
Ask them deep, meaningful questions.
Yeah.
If I could figure it out, how to go back in time, that's probably what I would do.
Yeah. So
what are we drinking, by the way? We
talked about it.
We're
Cider Boys.
Cider Boys, strawberry cider.
Strawberry Magic.
Strawberry Magic, okay.
And Cider Boys, we don't drink a lot of their stuff. I would drink it occasionally at West Side, but now West Side has West Ciders. So
now in cans.
Almost
in cans. Mid-August, I think they said.
So Cider Boys, at Cider Boys, we blend unexpected fruit flavors with the crisp taste of apple. With all natural ingredients, bold flavors, innovation, and high quality, Cider Boys hard ciders offer an extraordinary drinking experience.
Yeah.
We produce Cider Boys in central Wisconsin and source our apples from the ripe orchards of Washington State. We take pride in Cider Boys and look forward to sharing new flavor experiences with you.
Central Wisconsin.
Yes.
That is not where I thought that they were based out of.
I mean, I had no idea.
I didn't know that you could do apples in central Wisconsin.
Well, no, they get them from Washington.
Or they get it from Washington.
Yeah, that's what I read that.
Okay.
Like not even a minute ago. We could play back the tape if we weren't live.
Wow. Okay, so they get them from Washington State.
Yes.
And they're based in central Wisconsin.
Yes. And their description for Strawberry Magic is, come alive to crisp apple hard cider, blended with the fresh taste of strawberries, soft and deep red, blackened by backed by mouth-watering sweetness and a delicate hint of tartness. This is Strawberry Magic hard cider, kicked up with a hint of Saturday night. We blend it a little differently around here. If you've never tried it, get ready for confetti. What? I'm so confused by that. It's really yummy. I would drink it again. But so back to our main topic. So again, one of the reasons why gas station singles are mildly controversial is because the bulk of gas station singles are drank within an hour of being purchased. Now, part of that is because you're probably going to buy it from the gas station that's 10 minutes from your house, and you're going to drink it as soon as you get home.
An hour?
Yes. That was a stat that was mentioned in one of my resources. And so one of the resources was a gas station that had a liquor license that said they were not allowed to sell single beers. They could sell 6-packs, they could sell 12-packs, they could sell 24-packs. They could not sell single cans of beer because they were, quote, close to a highway, and they, quote, didn't want to promote drinking and driving. And so it's this gas station going and dealing with the liquor board while having this news station come around with them. And they're explaining that they are the same distance from the highway as a Walmart and a grocery store and another business that are allowed to sell single-serve cans, but they are not allowed to sell single-serve cans, even though these other places are, that are the same distance away from the highway that is so problematic.
That is interesting.
Yeah. It wasn't in Ohio. I don't remember exactly where that was.
So in order to sell singles, you have to have a certain license?
At least in
whatever state.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's in Janesville, which it's Interstate 90 and 39. So that's probably like Florida-ish.
So
they don't ever say.
They don't say
what state this is in. Probably because they're like, hey, this is our typical area. No one really cares. Because they mentioned state liquor agency a bunch. Trying to.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so this was in 2020 as well. So it's not like this was a long time ago. This was rather recently.
Yeah.
And how it's hurting their sales because they are next to a hotel. And so, like, if you're staying in a hotel because you're a traveling salesman or a service technician or something like that, like you're a businessman going around, you're not going to want to buy a 6-pack of beer if you're only going to be in your hotel room for a night. You're going to want a 19.2 ounce can because then you only need to have one and that's your beer for the night. But you are not able to go to this gas station that's right next to the hotel to buy that.
Interesting. That is very, I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Like that, they would regulate the amount of the quantity of beer. I know they would regulate the ABV and the beer itself, obviously.
It's in Wisconsin, by the way, I think. There's a Janesville in Wisconsin, and it's the first one that popped up.
Okay. So allegedly in Wisconsin, you have to do more to
Figure that one out for sure.
You have to have a specific license. Like, we don't have to figure it out. I mean, we can move on, but that is interesting that they would regulate the amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you would have So in this particular instance, you have to buy 6-packs.
Yep, you would have to buy a 6-pack. Mm-hmm.
Or 15 packs or 24 packs or whatever.
Yep.
So what stops me, hypothetically, because I don't promote drinking and driving, what stops me from buying a 6-pack
and cracking one open as soon as you get behind the wheel? Literally nothing. There is it's the perceived difference between that. There's an extra step of getting it out of that additional packaging. That's the only thing that's different. Weird. It's just the perception of what it is.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. Okay. Because if you're gonna engage in that activity, you're gonna engage in that activity. I don't think the packaging has anything to do with that.
Yeah. Well, it's like Colt 45 and Steel Reserve and these other malt liquors still exist, and you're going to be hard pressed to find someone that tells you they actually enjoy drinking them and they drink it because of the flavor.
God, Steel Reserve. I got that from the Mystery Beer Machine.
I think 2 years in a row.
Was it 2 years in a row?
It might. I feel like it was. At least one of the times the bartender said, "Oh my goodness, I feel so sorry for you," and might have I think last year they actually gave you a different beer and said, "No, I'm not going to make you drink that."
I think the gnome, this is my conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
I think the gnome gave the bartender my description
and said, "Make sure it's this."
Yeah. That's my conspiracy theory. It's
not like we watched it come out of the machine. But allegedly, the gnome was doing research on whether or not you could fit a 19.2 ounce can in the Mystery Beer Machine. And the answer is you can.
What?
So you might get a 19.2 ounce can out of the Mystery Beer Machine.
That's like the golden ticket.
I know, right?
It's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Yeah. So to bring this to a more positive note, because as we end this, I want to be more positive than, everything's weird. So craft beer is starting to get more into 19.2 ounce cans.
Yeah.
It's still hard because you have to modify your equipment to go from the 12 to the 16 to the 19.2. And if you're only doing a handful of runs of 19.2, there's a lot of changeover that is involved with that. So it's going to take a lot more time. But more breweries are starting to get into it because what they're noticing is it's increasing their 6-pack sales because it's a gateway beer.
So if you want to try it, there's it's less risky. Like,
yep.
I'm not spending as much. Like, maybe I am. I mean, this is probably what? How much did you spend on these? Like 7?
I don't remember.
7, 5.
I'd say it'd be like $4 or $5 a can at the most. But I don't remember.
So that's less risky than spending $10 for a 6-pack.
Yes. And so it makes it like, oh, hey, I keep seeing that Rheingeist Truth, but I don't want to get a whole 6-pack of it because I might not like it. And like, I know for sure my significant other would not drink it, but I can get a 19.2 ounce can, give it a try. If I like it, I'll buy it. Or conversely, like, hey, I really liked this gas station single from this brewery. Maybe I'll try a 6-pack of something else that they offer.
Yeah. Is there one more?
There is one more.
There's one more.
Yep. And this is another cider. Oh my goodness, excuse me. I'm getting Shift Beersy. Mm-hmm. So it's the world's original pineapple cider. This is Ace Pineapple Craft Cider. And it is from California. It is also 5% ABV and is in a 19.2 ounce can as well. I will pour you some so you can drink it while I read this long description from the can.
Pineapple cider.
Yes.
So,
And I will note at least there's one pineapple on the can at least that is upside down. So they're trying to say something with this. Speculation. Reculous speculation is this.
well, you picked it out. So, what are you saying?
I wanted to try a pineapple cider.
So, is this so that they make the cider from pineapple juice? Kind of like,
I'm going to assume so, but I'm going to read this long description while you taste it.
Okay.
So, tasting notes.
Oof.
It'll rot your teeth off, man. This is another sweet one. So, Ace Pineapple, the world's original pineapple cider, was first made in 2013. Its creation came out of the House family's annual trip to the Hawaiian Islands, where pineapple struck me as a great concept that would make a fantastic refreshment. It's a marriage of fermented apple and pineapple juices with a little sweetness and a pronounced pineapple nose. It has become the #1 selling fruit cider in America. Aloha. And that is from Jeffrey House, founder of Ace Cider, which has been around since 1993. And it's a cute can.
There's a lot of pineapple.
So many pineapples on this.
I don't really know what else to say except it's very pineapple-y. It's like in your face. And
if you like pineapple juice, you will like this. If you do not like pineapple, you will not like this.
Yeah. It's very in your face.
Yeah, and like this is a good example of like something that I would potentially buy again as a gas station single, because I don't think I want more than one of this.
That's a lot.
In a time. So like I would say, hey, let's split a gas station single of this every 3 months instead of let me buy a 6-pack of this where I have to drink them all by myself.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's very sugary.
It is very sugary.
Although the can noted that no sugar was added.
Yeah. I mean, it's pineapple. Pineapple is naturally very sweet.
It's very sweet. I don't know. I prefer apple cider.
Mm-hmm.
That's like super sweet.
Is Ace the pear cider that we would drink?
Yes. That is.
I'll Google it.
That is the pear cider that we used to drink.
Yeah, down in the basement at UC.
At UC, yeah.
It was legal. They had a bar. It was the Ratskeller. It was the best. Catskeller.
Yeah, the Catskeller. Yep.
I miss that place.
I don't know.
I don't miss college though.
I do not miss college either. Yeah, we would hang out there. I would get Original Sin, which was a extremely high for me back then. It was like 7%.
Yeah.
For apple cider. Apple cider is notorious. Or was it 6%?
I can Google it if you would like me to.
I could.
How much do you care?
I don't really care.
Okay.
Someone look it up. It's either 6 or 7%. I would only get one, and I would have a night class at McMicken, and then I would hang out. It would let out at like 7:30, and I would hang out there for a little bit, grab the cider, Original Sin, and then I would leave for the night. I haven't seen Original Sin in packaging since, but I haven't also looked for it.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really looked for cider. I used to drink a lot of Strongbow because I am Katniss. I would do that a lot.
Strongbow is interesting because
those were small bottles. What else were those?
It was English. It was Trek, so 11.2. But we had it on draft at one of our Oktoberfests.
We did. Yeah, they're 11.2 ounce bottles.
I think is it Irish or English or something to that nature. It's apple cider and they have different flavors.
Because I would buy their mixed 12-pack.
But it's very similar to the setup of a Guinness. If you want Guinness on draft, you have to have a special setup.
Yeah. So it was, we got a keg of it.
At Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
At Donut Schwab and Oktoberfest.
I wanted us to offer it at some point. Yeah, they're in the UK. Edinburgh. So they're in Scotland.
Oh no.
We were like just there.
Well,
I mean, we weren't like just there, but we were like right there. Dang it.
I don't know that we could have walked there though. It's probably outside Edinburgh.
Yeah. So we had it on draft for our Oktoberfest. I want to say it was like the Oktoberfest before we got married or before maybe there was some event that was happening soon after that. And our buddy who was the beer buyer at the time said, well, what Oktoberfest beers do you want on draft at this next event that we had coming up? And I was like, oh, Strongbow. And he was like, sweet, I can do that. And then like 6 hours later, he texted me, dang it, we can't do that because it has a special adapter. And while the distributor didn't pick up the keg, they picked up the adapter. So we don't have a way to pour it.
Oh, no.
So we might have just had to give the distributor back the keg with cider still in it since we didn't have a way to finish it off.
Yeah. So it's very similar to Guinness. I think Guinness is you pour it, I think it's nitro based, right?
Yes, it's nitro.
So you have to have that setup.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know anything more than that, but it's a special setup. For whatever reason, Strongbow is a special setup as well.
Well, it's because it's imported. The kegs are slightly different in England, I guess, than the normal kegs that we get.
I don't know. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
because we get a ton of German-based beers.
We get so many.
I mean, we
Stuff that's hard to find other places.
We get Polaner, we get Lowenbrau, we get everything.
Mm-hmm.
Hofbrauhaus at our Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Donut Schwab and Oktoberfest. First weekend in October.
Yeah.
I don't remember the dates for this year, but you should go.
It's always the first full weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 out of 3 days.
Yeah. So it's at least 2 of the days are October.
Yeah. But you don't need a special adapter for that.
No, I don't know.
But
I don't change out kegs.
For whatever reason, Strongbow, which is an apple cider,
It needed something.
it needed a special adapter or something to pour it, and then very similar to like a Guinness. So
Yeah. So back to 19.2 ounce cans, because I like to go on tangents.
yeah,
There was, in one of my other resources, there was a craft beer rep who was visiting one of his accounts, and they had 19.2 ounce cans for forever, or for a while. Not forever, but he hadn't seen anyone actually buy them. He just knew he had to keep replenishing them. Words are hard when you're trying to use a fancy one.
yeah,
But he was actually visiting one of his reps, and somebody was buying one of their 19.2 ounce cans, and he was like, oh, sweet, I can ask him. So he's like, hey, so why are you buying this? And they're like, oh, yeah, because this is all that I need, because I'm going to this thing and I just need one beer, and so this is the perfect amount for what I'm going to go do. So like, think about it. Back in ye olden times, maybe not ye olden times, like
How old are we talking?
we'll go like 5 or 6 years ago when we were more responsible, but we're still drinking.
Okay.
If we were going to go to a campfire,
You mean less responsible?
well, we had less responsibility,
Okay.
but like we weren't like 21 where we were like, hey, let's get a 24 pack and like crush it as quick as we could.
I don't think I ever did that.
We didn't really do that. We did buy a lot of Coors Banquet though. So much Coors Banquet. It was fancy. I think was our.
Well, I mean, it was like a lager
It was. I mean, it was nicer. So
before Yingling,
but like think about it. Like if we were going to go to a campfire,
for Hudable.
and we didn't want to bring a cooler with us, we would have to be responsible for a cooler in addition to ourselves. We would probably just bring, like, if we could, 4-ish tall boys and say, these are our beers for the night, instead of trying to bring like a 24 pack where we'd have to bring at least half of it back home. Though we do actually we do usually say, here, have one of ours. Whenever we're out and about with friends.
Yeah. I mean, we are the ones who bring the weird beers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before Hudopole, before the Hootie Amber, because that was my go-to for a very long time. And then Yingling came along, and that was my go-to for a very long time.
Yep.
Like, my go-to was Coors Banquet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a good beer for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Haven't had it in a long while.
Yeah, we have that. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know where you're going with that either. But so, like, 19.2 ounce cans are a thing that I would consider if, like, we're on vacation and I don't want to have to worry about, maybe we're like day 5 into a 7-day vacation, and I don't want to have to worry about what are we going to do with this leftover alcohol. And I'll say, like, here, I'm going to grab like 4 tall boys, and you get 2 tall boys tonight and 2 tall boys tomorrow, or something like that. Yeah. Instead of having to buy a 6-pack and worry about where that's going to go.
It's interesting because I've never considered tall boys ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get them, because we never buy them. So
I just never, I don't think I've ever bought a tall boy before, because it has kind of this connotation to it, right? The Colt 45.
Yeah. Well, here, let's see what this looks like in your hand, because we've seen it in my hand.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see what it looks like in your tiny hands. I mean, that looks like almost like a normal can.
It's natural.
Yeah.
So this is the beer for giants.
It is. So what, like, here, this 25 ounce can, let's look at that.
Oh.
They're so tall. It's so weird.
Oh, man.
I mean, because it's not quite a crowler, because a crowler is 32 ounces. And this is 25.
That's true. Yeah.
So got 7 less ounces to deal with.
I mean, we've always gone the crowler.
We have. I mean, because you can get a crowler at your brewery when you're driving by.
That's the route that's a good point, because that's basically a little less than that.
Yeah.
It's about 10 ounces less than that. So it's not quite that, but...
It's not quite a beer each, but if we want to do like 2 or 3 of them, we can actually do that.
That's interesting. And a crowler, that's kind of... Because you talked about the gas station singles are always almost consumed within an hour.
Mm-hmm.
The crowler, it's draft beer. You open it, and
you have like an hour to drink it.
Well,
but
the freshness goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes flat, kind of like a 2-liter.
Yeah, you can rubber band some cling wrap to the can, and it'll be mostly okay the next day. It's just not as good. Yeah, I've only had to do that a handful of times with stuff that I've bought that I like and Joe refuses to drink.
Yeah, the crowlers, we did that for a very long time. We probably have way too many.
We've had a lot of crowlers in our lifetime.
I think we got rid of some.
We did. I think we've got 1 upstairs. I want to say we might have 1 or 2 downstairs. We've got a Brink crowler for sure. But I want to say we might have drank the rest of them.
Brink, Listerman, and West Side. I think those are the ones we have.
MPH. We have West Side does crowlers?
Back in the day they did.
I think my brain just broke. But okay, so back to the point.
Growlers.
Growlers. Yeah. Growlers. Oh, yeah.
I think I kept saying growlers.
You kept saying crowlers and you were totally talking growlers. Yeah, we used to get growlers from all of those places until they started offering more packaging. Because now it's like we go to West Side and we're more likely to just say, okay, what's in your cooler? We'll grab something from that versus let's fill up a growler.
But growlers, that's 64 ounces. Growlers with a G is 64 ounces.
Yes.
Growlers with a C is 32 ounces. Okay.
Yeah. And we used to get growlers every Thanksgiving because lots of places offer deals around Thanksgiving. Well, they do around lots of major holidays. But Thanksgiving was always our big one because we knew we would be getting together with family, and then we would have to drink the whole thing ourselves because no one else would drink it. So we just went back to bringing cans and bottles and stuff. And we kind of have stopped going the growler route. We also forget that we have growlers sometimes. They used to live on the bookshelf.
Used to live on the bookshelf, yeah.
And now I'm not. They're somewhere with the move. Oh, I think they're at the bar. They are on the bar. That is where they are.
Downstairs, yep.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying. The growlers. We always went the growler route.
Mm-hmm. And then
it was too much to consume because you felt you had to. It was like a 2
it's 4 beers. And you've got to drink like all 4 of those beers as soon as you open that thing up. But it also is only good for so long. A growler lasts a bit longer. That's 2 beers. So that was a little bit more reasonable because we could usually finish those 2 beers in a night.
Yeah.
But the growler, it was hit or miss. What we did like to do if we could was get like an Irish stout or some kind of stout and then turn it into brownies. That was always good.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't done that in a long time, though.
That we did, yeah.
But yeah, so I've changed your mind on gas station singles. I have changed you as a person today on this podcast.
Well, I would say they are, they have their place for sure. And it's interesting because it's almost a growler, but not quite.
Well, so the 19.2, it's just a little bit more than a pint. So you're having a little bit over a half beer each.
Yeah, they're the 19, but
the 25 is almost a growler.
That's very interesting to me that they would almost go the growler route.
Yeah, but I mean, part of it too is like, okay, if I'm sitting around a fire, if I don't have to get up because I essentially have 2 beers in my can,
yeah,
I'm good.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting psychology. I'm curious about. I mean, obviously it's successful because they shipped it all the way to Ohio.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of my resources are going to be a few years old, and the game has changed a lot since then.
Yeah,
because it is more readily available now, and it is easier to find. And now I might have to do more trips to
Delhi Liquor.
Yep, Delhi Liquor, and be like, hey, what kind of single boys do you got right now? I would like some tall boys, please.
It's interesting. Yeah. I wonder if we'll get to a point where they will sell just growlers.
So I think growlers would be more likely I think that's still more of a draft thing.
Yeah.
Because essentially, because like my cousin called them bullets, and she was in Indiana where we called them howlers, where it's the 32-ounce growler, where it's the reusable bottle. Yeah. But instead of it being 64 ounce, it's 32 ounce.
It's very interesting how the packaging, the to-go packaging has shifted, has transformed over the years.
Yeah, and I think
in the craft beer world, at least.
I mean, COVID played a major part because it was mostly growlers. You would find a growler machine every once in a while. And then COVID hit, and it was, well, we can't fill our tap room with people anymore, but we got all this beer. Crud. Let me get a growler machine, some blank aluminum cans, and some labels. Yeah. And now I can package all of my beer to go.
Yeah.
And so once COVID hit, it was growlers everywhere. And growlers started to go by the wayside. I mean, you can still find places that have them. And there are still places that will list how much they are. But usually if they have on their tap board what their prices are, it's here's my 4-ounce pour or whatever my flight pour is.
Yeah.
Here's my full pour, whether that's 10 ounces or 16 ounces, depends on the beer. And here's my growler price. I can give you a growler price verbally, but I'm not going to list it. I'm going to list my crowler price. Because, I mean, growlers are a big question mark, too. A crowler, you have more control over. You know what's gone on with those cans. You control those cans before they get packaged by the consumer. Versus a growler, you don't know how well the person's cleaned it out. You don't know how they're going to take care of it. They could throw it on a windowsill for 3 days and then or for a week and then open it up and be like, this beer's terrible. And it's like, yeah, you left your glass container out on a windowsill baking in the sun for a week.
Oh, God.
You totally changed it.
That would be awful.
But a crowler's an aluminum can. You know, people are going to stick it in their fridge right away because they should have space for it. I mean, when we were getting growlers all the time, we would have issues finding the fridge space for it.
Yeah, in our side-by-side.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the holidays, where it's, hey, we got some growlers because it's Thanksgiving, but I also need space for all of my Friendsgiving stuff or all of the sides that I have to bring.
It's the same size as a gallon of milk.
Yeah, it's the same size as a gallon of milk versus a crowler is a lot easier to fit into those weird spaces of your fridge that are always a little bit empty.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to say about, you know, the beer that we drank, the cider that we drank, or?
I mean, it was all good. It was all, I'm going to hazard to say craft. I did kind of try to look for that too. I was trying to stay away from the macro stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of this stuff has the independent craft label on it because I did not look for that. Great Lakes does.
Great Lakes for
I figured
sure
Great
does.
Lakes would.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Cider Boys and Ace.
How craft.
Well, I don't know how they factor into that because they're not beer.
There's not really a macro version of cider.
I mean, the most macro I can think of is Angry Orchard, and that's Sam Adams.
Yes.
Which is the baseline for craft.
It's still not, you know, Anheuser-Busch. I don't think they, or InBev, I don't think they, or Miller Coors, I don't think they've necessarily ventured into that.
I'm not sure either. I mean, I'll just do label to camera for everything.
They've for sure got into cider. And that's seltzer.
Mm-hmm.
They for sure did that.
Yeah, I mean, because they got their Bud Light seltzer. I haven't had any. Well, no. I used to drink the.
That's such a weird branding, you know.
Yeah. I drank the
choice
Beeritas
Bud
or whatever
Light.
those were.
Bud Light seltzer.
Yeah. I mean,
call it something different. I mean, I guess I understand. Bud Light is, you know, it has a history to it.
mm-hmm.
But it's not. It has nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah. I don't even know if I don't think their Beeritas are a thing anymore. I drank those for a little while.
Yeah.
That was more like a, hey, we're going to the pool.
That's like RTD.
That was before seltzer was a thing.
That's RTD.
Yeah.
Ready to drink.
But it was like a beer tail versus like just a straight cocktail.
Yeah. I know they've gotten, I don't really look for it, but I don't think they've gotten into apple cider because I think apple cider itself,
it's hard to get into because you need to have established orchards.
Yeah.
In order to make it work.
Well, I don't think apple cider is popular anymore.
It's not. It was really popular before Prohibition. And then when Prohibition happened, they stopped taking care of the orchards. So it took forever to bring the orchard back.
Yeah, you have to have, I mean, wine.
I think we have an
too.
episode about that.
Yeah, wine too. I mean, you have to have
wine isn't
grapes.
Yeah, wine isn't as big.
Grapes.
I mean, and there's a bit of that with hops too. Like hops need to be like 3 years in before you're actually going to get anything out of them.
I think that's the way
grapes are about the same. But for apples, it's like you need 20 years in your tree before you're going to be getting cider quality apples or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a need for that. The independent label came up for craft beer because InBev specifically started buying up
craft breweries, and they're just
Craft
kind
breweries.
of hiding the fact that they bought them.
Yeah.
And if you were in the know, you knew. But if you were
Goose
just
Island, Wicked Weed in Asheville,
Mhm.
And of course, Platform
Yep.
here in Ohio. They tried to buy these breweries, and sometimes it went well, sometimes it didn't.
I mean, Goose Island's probably the one that's working out the best for them, but they had like a year or two where the Goose Island bourbon barrel beers went real bad because they had a lot of infection.
I don't think that InBev
And it-
had anything to do with it.
I don't think Ambev had anything to do with it either, but
It was just,
it was just terrible timing for them.
a roll of the dice. You have a barrel. I mean,
You never know what's going to happen until you get it
never
out.
know. Yeah, I think it could happen to anyone.
It
at any
can.
time.
And
Infection, and it's a shame. Like,
Mhm.
hopefully you're trying it throughout the life, because
Mhm.
it barely.
well, part of it is you throw some samples in an incubator and see what grows. And that's how your accelerated version of making sure it's fine.
Yeah. So,
But,
let's wrap this up. So, we are the Craft Parenting Podcast. We are on all of the social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube.
smash that like button. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, ring that notification.
Ring that notification bell. No, hit subscribe
You're a
and
terrible
ring that
YouTuber.
notification bell.
Terrible YouTuber.
I am the worst YouTuber. Though I unboxed something at work last week,
Oh boy.
and I was like, and this has been like, because I was like describing the stuff to my coworkers that was in the thing that I was unboxing. And then I was like, this has been Unboxing with Caroline. Smash that like button. Slam subscribe. Ring that notification bell. That's what it was. I got a little kerfluffled. And I was like the channel, everybody. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's fine. I am at Craft Parenting Joe on Instagram if you want to follow me.
And I am at Caroline Creates Crafts, but I am terrible at posting things.
Yes.
I am not great at social medias.
Same. But we appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye. You gotta hit the music.
Yeah.